Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. All is absolutely fabulous here. Summer's not really panning out as I had hoped it to be. A lot more grey than sun. And grey's quite good, as long as it's dry. And grey's particularly good for the material that we're going to be talking about today. Now, a little while ago, I did a video on fragrances that are either leather-centric or contain an accord of leather in them. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing videos like that, looking at a bunch of fragrances that have a shared common note or are devoted to a certain material. So today we're going to be looking at vetiver. Now, I'm a big fan of vetiver, and I'm sure you are too, because it seems to be pretty much everywhere. Lots and lots and lots of perfumes have vetiver in it. And what we're going to do today is I've got 6 to look at that are either completely devoted to vetiver, or vetiver plays, to me at least, quite an important role in them. So what we'll do is it's going to be a classic whistle-stop tour. We're looking at 6 fragrances, and what I've done, as per usual, is I've tried to get 6 together from various for various budgets. So there's a couple of cheapies in here, and there's some more expensive niche ones in here too. So it gives you a kind of a broad spectrum of vetiver-based fragrances. So first and foremost, what is vetiver? Great question. Well, the word vetiver originally comes from the Tamil language, which can be basically translated as a root that's dug up. It originated, I think, in northern India, and it's often called Kus, which is K-H-U-S, and that's a term that you'll kind of find quite often used in attars and ouds and stuff like that. That's a word that often gets banded around. But effectively, according to my iffy research, it basically means vetiver. Now, vetiver tends to come from India, but it also comes from Haiti, it comes from India and Indonesia, and I think a couple of other places too. And it's basically a grass. Now, it's quite unique in terms that it has a massively complex root system, so it's very, very good for planting, for to protect the soil from erosion and things like that. Because the roots are quite often the same sort of length and size of a tree, but they go straight down, and it's the root that's important to us in perfumery. That's where that's the part of the plant that gets used for perfume. Anyway, so there we have a very brief explanation as to what vetiver is. Now, as I say, it's been used in so many different perfumes, and I've got lots and lots of perfumes that contain vetiver. So this 6 here aren't, that's not the exclusive total of my vetiver perfumes. But what I've tried to do is get vetivers that are explored in perfume in different ways. So we've got a different kind of perfume for everyone, so we're not constantly going over the same ground. So what we shall do is we shall start our whistle-stop tour of 6 vetiver-centric fragrances that I think are well worth exploring, and personally, fragrances that I love. They're not in any particular order. There is my number 1 in here, but that's marginal. And to be honest, all 6 of these are often worn for different occasions, okay? So that they're never really going to be competing against each other, because they're different fragrances, and there are fragrances that I wear in completely different situations. So shall we get on with the list? Okay, first up, a very special one to me, and that's because it was the first perfume we actually reviewed on the channel, and that's LT Pivot Vetiver. LT Pivot are a very, very old house. You don't really hear much about them. In fact, I think it's only really TK Maxx in the UK that sells them, which is where I got this from. I think I paid, I can't remember now, it's ages since I've had it. Probably, I think it was 11 or 12 pounds. It's certainly no more than 14 pounds, but it's one of those 3 bizarre numbers. I had a quick check online. You can get it for around 40 pounds if you can't find it in TK Maxx, and it's well worth it. This is a classic vetiver. It's got a little bit of green apple in the opening. It's a little bit spicy, a little bit smoky, very, very gentlemanly, very, very cologne-y, and rather, rather lovely. The vetiver in here comes in the mid to the base, and it's beautiful. It's really, really distinguished, and I think this is a really undervalued perfume. If you like things like Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver, you will definitely like this one. It may come across as a little more dated, a little bit more old-fashioned, but I think that's part of its charm and part of its appeal. It's very, very gentlemanly. It always goes down at work, well at work. And if you were in an office, this is the perfect office fragrance. It can be worn all year round because it doesn't get too dark. You can wear it on a spring day or even a warm day. But it works particularly well for me in colder climes. When I go into the office, this is one that I normally reach for, because I don't know, it's something about going into the office. It's not something I do very often, so I like to smell quite smart when I do. And this has that gentlemanly vibe, which I really enjoy. So there we go. That's getting this little soiree into the world of vetiver underway, and that's LT Pivot Vetiver. Really, really worth finding, especially if you can get it for such cheap money, you know, for such little money in TK Maxx as I did. It's an absolute bargain. Okay. Next up, we have a real favourite of mine, and this is much more of a party fragrance, and this is from ARMO, the Perfumer's Workshop. That's their brand, and this is called Silver Birch. This is a beautiful fragrance. I got this, I think it was half price in the Harrods sale. Lovely. The presentation is phenomenal. It comes in a beautiful bag as well. Really, really heavy. You've got a massively solid top on that. And it's just a great fun fragrance. It's sweet though, and this is kind of like, I worn this on a hot day, and it's probably a little bit too creamy for a hot day, but I loved it. It can be worn all year round again, but I think this is kind of more of a fair weather one. This is much more of a fun fragrance than the last one. And it's sweet, it's punchy, you've got lots going on here. You've got cardamom, you've got orange, you've got papyrus, you've got jasmine, you've got bourbon vetiver, you've got fig. Now the fig in this sits together with the cardamom and the orange blossom in the top, and it works beautifully, beautifully well. The fig to me comes across really creamy, almost coconut-like. So you have this sweet, coconutty, punchy fragrance. There's quite a lot of musk in here. I don't think there's any musk that's listed in the notes, but it just feels like quite a musky fragrance to me. And it really is a long-lasting perfume too, but it has a real punchy opening to it. So for the first hour, you're belting out. So it's sweet, it's indulgent, it's creamy, it's absolutely beautiful. And this was a blind buy for me as well. When I saw it went down from like £180 to £80, I thought, yeah, I'll take a punt on that. And I treated myself to a bottle, and it was an absolutely astonishingly good blind buy, one that really, really worked well for me. So I cannot recommend this enough. There's a few actually that are really good from the collection. I particularly like White Hinoki as well. And if that one, and I think there's one called Whetstone, that's really, really nice too. If I see any of those come up at bargain prices, I will get them. Would I have bought this at full price? I'm not sure. I do really, really like it, but do I like it for £180 a bottle? Maybe not. But if you can get it as a bargain, get it, because it is lovely. And it's a really good one for a party, because it's still quite gentlemanly, it's still quite smart, but it just smells like fun. Okay, on to the next one. And here we're going to look at Nasamato's Sultan Vetiver. Now, this is the most vetiver smelling perfume I have ever smelled. This is a monstrous perfume as well. It's really, really, really potent. It's, oh my word. I thought it's up there with Musica Oud, the other the shiny I've got from they're made by Jorge Lee. This is a massive, massive perfume. It has 4 different types of vetiver in it. There's a little bit of citrus on the top that kind of gets the ball rolling. Now, when we talk about vetiver, vetiver can often smell quite different. It can be really smoky. It can be really earthy, it can be really grassy, and it can be really like dark and intense. And it also can be really, really soapy. And what Sultan Vetiver does is it uses every single facet of that. It's so intense. You've got this smokiness that comes into it. Then it's clean, and it's really soapy, really earthy. And then sometimes it comes across as being quite bright, but it always has a clean vibe in the background, and that can be way too much for some people. I know that it's been heavily reduced on Latino and places like that at the moment, so I can see people being tempted to take a punt on it for a blind buy. Be really, really careful on this one. You've got to be absolutely into your vetiver for this to work, because it is all about the vetiver. Sometimes it even comes across as slightly medicinal, and it can be a bit too much. My wife does not like that. I like it. I couldn't wear it all the time, and I certainly wouldn't be going out wearing it with my wife for dinner or something like that. It's too strong, and it's just a bit, I don't know, there's moments of it where it kind of feels a little bit like a doctor's surgery, and I mean that in the nicest way, but it can be a little too clean, a little too soapy. But when it dries down, there's a kind of almost like a leathery accord that comes into it, and I think there's almost like an ambery vibe to it, and it does sweeten up a bit. So the dry down is phenomenally good, but it's a bit prickly getting there. You've got quite a lot of spikiness to get over first, so it's definitely one that you should try. Don't blind buy it. I'd hate for you to blind buy it, because I think unless you're absolutely 100% bang on vetiver, you're going to really, really struggle with it. It's an amazing perfume. It's beautifully made, and it wears really, really well, but it is a bit too much for some, I'm sure of that. But I mean, presentation wise, I love these bottles. I love the cap too. Really, really heavy, really, really solid. Beautiful stuff. But please, yeah, don't blind buy that. I know it's tempting when it comes up at bargain prices and things. You think, oh, I'll add that to the collection, but be very, very careful with it because it is just about vetiver and every single facet of vetiver. Okay, next up, real cheapie. Rosasi's Fatan. Now this, I did a video on it not that long ago actually, and I noticed on Notino, this is down to £18 for 50ml. Perfect. This is a beautiful, beautiful perfume. Now it is obviously heavily influenced by Terre d'Hermès, and I think for me it's better than Terre d'Hermès, and I know that's controversial because, you know, Terre d'Hermès is a classic, but as I've said on many videos, Terre d'Hermès has an orange note in it that just does not work well for me at all, I'm afraid. But because this does away with the orange, it uses the grapefruit instead. It's a bit brighter, it's fresher, it's a little sharper, it's a little cleaner, and it just smells lovely. Performance is excellent. It lasts me for an entire shift at work, which is where I wear it all the time, and you can see I've probably taken about 15 mils out of that already. So it's a real workhorse and can be worn anywhere, anytime. Really good on a sunny day, really good for work. Be nice just to wear, you know, if you're going down the pub with your mates for a couple of pints, this is also the perfect one. It has a very gentlemanly smell to it. I did mention in my review that after the opening there's a little bit of a soapy note that hangs around for a little while, but that soon fades. When it's at its soapy, it's at its worst, but don't panic because it doesn't last forever, and then it becomes a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. So this is kind of more like this one. You know, these are the two sort of party fragrances out of the bunch. But yeah, this is really, really good. And as I say, it's £18 at Notino at the moment, so well worth grabbing. Okay, we've got two left. And this is one of my favourite perfumes and another one that has two different sources of vetiver. And this is Incident Diplomatique by Givenchy. This is a massive fragrance, by the way. This is hugely potent and one I talk about quite a lot. I feature it on Instagram a fair bit. But this is beautiful. It's mainly, effectively, there's a little bit of citrus, and then you've got these two types of vetiver. You've got a Haitian vetiver, and where's the other one from? I think it may be an Indonesian vetiver. Oh no, it's a Java vetiver oil and a Haitian vetiver that combine to make this sort of vetiver bomb. But what they've done at Givenchy is they've put a lot of patchouli in this as well. And they're really, I mean, if you've ever smelt psychedelic, you'll know that the guys at Givenchy know exactly what they're doing with patchouli. And patchouli and vetiver seem to work incredibly well. So you have quite an old school feeling, massive perfume. It gets compliments, but it does get you noticed an awful lot. So you've got to be very careful with the trigger. It really, really punches out. It's not the longest lasting fragrance I've got in my collection. You'll probably get 7 or 8 hours out of it, but it really, really screams when you first put it on your skin. So you've got to be aware of that when you're wearing it. You know, don't overspray that one because you will fog everybody out. I've mentioned it before, but I did get a very, very bizarre compliment wearing this. So I got on a bus and a woman said to me, "Oh, you smell nice. Did you leave any cologne in the bottle this morning?" So it was like a bit of an awkward moment because you realise you've overdone it, which I have done many times. So in closing on this one, beautiful perfume, highly recommended, but be careful because it is quite a punchy one. So please, as always with these sort of more expensive fragrances, please, you know, get a sample first. In fact, Givenchy do a sampling service, so you can try that one or try a few from Givenchy's collection because you don't really see them that much, and they're making some phenomenal niche perfumes there. Really, really good. So, on to the final one that we're looking at today, and this is my favourite for a variety of reasons, and we're going to look at Nasamato's Absinthe, one of the lesser talked about ones from Nasamato, I think. And this is beautiful. This is a very green perfume, lots of wormwood. Obviously there's absinthe in there, there's musk, there's woods, and there's what I think is a vetiver dry down. Now I'm not sure 100% because there are no notes, so I'm kind of working it out from my nose, and I would say that vetiver plays quite an important role in this perfume. But this is beautiful. It's very sweet in the opening. It's very sophisticated and incredibly classy perfume with pretty good performance too. It's very punchy for the first hour, and on my skin it lasts at least 7 or 8 hours. It's not the biggest hitter from Nasamato. That's still Nudiflorum in my book, or maybe even Fantomas. But Absinthe is delicious. I absolutely love this one. It's warm, it's fuzzy, it's sweet, it's lovely. If I'm getting, you know, dressed up and a shirt and a tie or something like that, then this is what I'm going with. There is a little booze in it, but it's not overly boozy. I mean, it's named after a booze, so you'd expect some kind of booze in here. And, you know, it doesn't disappoint on that front. There is some available, but it just wears so well. Really, really nice. One my wife loves on me and one I love to wear. So there we have it. 6 fragrances that contain vetiver or celebrate vetiver in one shape or another. Now, I've not put in sort of Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver because I don't own it, or Encre Noir, or any of the more popular ones. And obviously the good thing is there's tons of reference points for those out there on YouTube or Instagram, so there's lots of ways for you to explore those fragrances. I haven't included them in the list because simply I don't own them. I've got quite, I mean, there's 6 bangers there that I've kind of covered vetiver. So in closing, they're all really, really interesting. Absinthe is I just love it. It's really, really good. But they're all excellent perfumes and well worth exploring. And I think the bargain of the day has got to be this one. If you can pick that up for £18 at the moment, just grab it because it's a stunning deal. So there you have it, my little soiree into the world of vetiver. 6 frags that I really, really enjoy, and I think you will too if you get a chance to sample them. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. It's always very much appreciated, and Richard and I shall see you very soon on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.